Have you ever noticed that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful? The people who constantly announce their plans, defend their opinions, and demand attention often have the least control over themselves. Yet the individuals who quietly observe, speak only when necessary, and reveal very little about their intentions seem to command a different kind of respect. Why? Because real power does not need to introduce itself. Throughout history, the most dangerous generals, the most influential rulers, and the wisest philosophers all understood a secret that most people ignore. Every unnecessary word is a leak of power. While others are busy proving themselves, the truly intelligent are studying the room. While others react emotionally, they remain calm. While others seek attention, they accumulate influence in silence. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They knew that silence is not weakness. It is a weapon, a shield, and sometimes the highest form of self-mastery. In this video, you'll discover why the smartest people stay silent, how silence creates hidden power, and the Stoic principles that can make you more respected, more influential, and far more difficult to manipulate. Because by the end of this video, you may realize that the words you've been speaking are costing you far more than you think. We live in an age that encourages people to express everything, every opinion, every emotion, every success, every frustration. The modern world has convinced us that silence is a weakness and that visibility is power. But the Stoics saw something different. They understood that constant expression often comes at a hidden cost. Think about it. The moment you feel angry, you're encouraged to vent. The moment you have an idea, you're encouraged to announce it. The moment you achieve something, you're encouraged to display it. And yet, the more you reveal, the less control you retain. Every time you expose your emotions to the world, you give others a map of your inner landscape. You show them what excites you, what hurts you, what triggers you, what makes you insecure. And once people know these things, they can influence you more easily. This is why the wisest individuals are often the most reserved. Not because they lack thoughts, not because they are afraid, but because they understand that information is power, and power is diminished when it is given away freely. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus observed that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We should listen twice as much as we speak. Yet most people do the opposite. They walk into conversations looking for opportunities to talk rather than opportunities to learn. They reveal their plans before they've accomplished them. They argue with strangers to defend beliefs that require no defense. They speak impulsively and then wonder why they lose influence. The paradox is fascinating. The more desperate someone is to be heard, the less people listen. The less desperate someone is to speak, the more attention their words command. Imagine 2 people in a meeting. One speaks constantly, commenting on every issue, eager to prove their intelligence. The other remains quiet, observing, listening, and speaking only when they have something valuable to add. When the silent person finally speaks, everyone pays attention. Why? Because scarcity creates value. Words work the same way. The person who speaks less often makes every sentence carry more weight. This is one of the hidden advantages of silence. It creates mystery, and mystery creates influence. But there's an even deeper reason why the smartest people resist the urge to express everything. because they understand that not every thought deserves a voice. And that lesson may be the difference between appearing powerful and actually becoming powerful. If the Stoics taught the value of silence for inner mastery, Machiavelli taught its value for power. Few thinkers understood the dangers of unnecessary speech better than Niccolò Machiavelli. Studying rulers, generals, and political leaders, he noticed a pattern that repeated itself throughout history. The people who revealed their intentions too early often lost. The people who kept their intentions hidden often won. Why? Because every time you announce your plans, you give others time to prepare against you. Every time you reveal your strategy, you surrender the element of surprise. Every time you expose your next move, you invite resistance. Machiavelli understood that power thrives in uncertainty. When people cannot predict you, they cannot easily control you. When they do not know your intentions, they are forced to observe you. And when they are busy guessing your next move, you gain the freedom to make it. Consider the greatest strategists in history. Rarely did they announce their plans to everyone around them. Rarely did they seek approval before taking action. They moved quietly, they observed patiently, and they acted decisively when the moment arrived. Most people do the opposite. They talk about the business they want to start. They talk about the body they want to build. They talk about the wealth they want to create. They talk about the future they dream of. Months later, nothing has changed. Their words created the illusion of progress. Their expression replaced execution. Machiavelli would have recognized this as one of the most common traps of human nature. Talking feels productive, but action is what changes reality. This is why powerful people often appear secretive, not because they are dishonest, not because they are plotting against everyone, but because they understand a simple truth. Results speak louder than intentions. The lion does not announce the hunt. The hunter does not warn the prey. And the strategist does not reveal the plan before the battle begins. Machiavelli knew that influence often belongs to those who can remain unreadable, those who cannot be easily predicted, those who understand that every unnecessary revelation reduces their advantage. The goal is not to become cold or manipulative. The goal is to become disciplined, to stop feeling the need to explain yourself to everyone, to stop seeking validation before you've earned the result, to stop broadcasting your ambitions and start building them, because the strongest move is often the one nobody sees coming. And that brings us to a deeper question. If silence can protect your power in the outside world, what can it do for your power over yourself? Silence has a strange effect on people. Walk into a room and stop talking. Sit across from someone and allow a pause to linger. Resist the urge to fill every gap in the conversation. Watch what happens. For many people, silence becomes unbearable. Within seconds, they begin searching for something, anything to say why. Because silence forces people to confront something they spend most of their lives trying to avoid, themselves. Noise is a distraction. Conversation is a distraction. Constant stimulation is a distraction. But silence removes the escape routes. In silence, your thoughts become louder. Your insecurities become harder to ignore. Your fears become more visible. And for many people, that experience is uncomfortable. This is one reason why modern life is filled with endless distractions. The phone, the television, the music, the notifications, anything to prevent a moment alone with one's own mind. The Stoics recognized this centuries ago. They believed that a person who cannot sit quietly with themselves has not yet mastered themselves, because true strength is not measured by how confidently you speak. It is measured by how peacefully you can remain silent. But silence does more than reveal your own mind. It reveals the minds of others. When a conversation falls silent, something fascinating happens. People begin talking more. They fill the void. They reveal information they never intended to share. They expose emotions they were trying to hide. The person who is comfortable with silence often learns more than the person who cannot stop speaking. This is why skilled negotiators use silence. This is why great leaders use silence. This is why wise observers use silence. They understand that silence creates pressure, and under pressure, people reveal themselves. Think about the most confident person you've ever met. Chances are they didn't feel the need to dominate every conversation. They didn't rush to defend every criticism. They didn't panic when the room became quiet. They were comfortable letting silence exist, because confidence does not need constant reassurance. Only insecurity does. The uncomfortable truth is that many people speak not because they have something important to say, but because they are afraid of what silence might reveal. The smartest people understand the opposite. They see silence as a tool, a mirror, a source of information, a test of emotional control. While others rush to escape it, they learn from it. And that ability gives them a powerful advantage, because the person who can remain calm in silence possesses something rare in today's world: the ability to hear what everyone else is trying to drown out. Perhaps no Stoic embodied the power of silence better than Marcus Aurelius. Imagine the pressure he faced. He ruled an empire stretching across continents. He commanded armies. He dealt with political rivals, betrayal, economic crises, and wars that threatened the stability of Rome itself. Yet despite carrying responsibilities that would overwhelm most people, Marcus Aurelius rarely spoke about controlling others. Instead, he focused on controlling himself. This is what made him different. Most people believe power means influencing the world around them. Marcus believed true power begins with mastering the world within. In his private journal, later known as Meditations, he repeatedly returned to a simple idea: you cannot control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond. At first, that sounds obvious, but think about how most people live. A rude comment ruins their day. A criticism consumes their thoughts. A disagreement triggers an emotional reaction. A setback destroys their motivation. Their mood rises and falls based on forces outside their control. In other words, they are being governed by the world instead of governing themselves. Marcus Aurelius saw this as a form of slavery. Not slavery to another person, slavery to impulse, slavery to anger, slavery to fear, slavery to the opinions of strangers. And this is where silence becomes so powerful. Silence creates space between stimulus and response. When someone insults you, silence gives you time to think. When someone provokes you, silence gives you time to choose. When emotions begin to take over, silence gives reason a chance to speak. Most conflicts are not caused by thoughtful decisions. They are caused by immediate reactions, a harsh word spoken in anger, an impulsive response, a momentary emotion that becomes a lasting regret. Marcus Aurelius understood that every reaction is a choice, and the person who can delay that choice gains an enormous advantage. This is why the smartest people often appear calm when everyone else is emotional. It is not because they feel less. It is because they have learned not to become servants of every feeling. They observe their emotions without immediately obeying them. They pause before they act. They reflect before they speak. They remain composed when others surrender control. That composure is not weakness. It is discipline. And discipline is one of the highest forms of power. The world will always try to pull your attention, provoke your emotions, and dictate your reactions. Marcus Aurelius spent his life resisting that pull. He knew that the greatest victory was not over an enemy. It was over the impulses within himself. And that raises an important question. If silence helps us master our emotions, what else can it help us see that others miss? Most people think communication is about speaking. The wisest people know it is about understanding. And understanding begins with listening. This is the hidden advantage of speaking less. When you stop focusing on what you're going to say next, you begin noticing things that most people miss. You notice hesitation in someone's voice. You notice the contradiction between their words and their actions. You notice the emotions hidden beneath their carefully chosen sentences. While everyone else is busy broadcasting, you are gathering information. And information is one of the most valuable forms of power. Think about a chess player. The strongest move is rarely made by the person rushing across the board. It is made by the person who observes carefully, studies the position, and understands what others fail to see. Life works much the same way. The person who speaks constantly is often too busy expressing themselves to observe reality. The person who listens gains access to details that others willingly reveal. Every conversation becomes a source of insight. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to learn. And over time, those small observations compound into a significant advantage. This is one reason highly influential people often ask more questions than they answer. They know that every question gathers information. Every answer gives information away. Most people enter conversations trying to appear intelligent. The truly intelligent enter conversations trying to become more informed. That difference changes everything. The silent observer learns the motivations of others. They identify hidden agendas. They detect opportunities before anyone else notices them. And because they speak less, people often underestimate them. Ironically, this can become one of their greatest strengths. History is filled with examples of individuals who were dismissed because they appeared quiet, reserved, or unassuming. Meanwhile, the loudest voices in the room attracted all the attention and all the opposition. The Stoics understood this dynamic well. They believed that wisdom grows in observation. You cannot learn while talking. You cannot understand while dominating every conversation. You cannot discover new truths if your mind is occupied with proving how much you already know. There is a profound difference between being heard and being effective. Many people chase the first. Few master the second. The person who speaks less is not necessarily weak. In many cases, they are simply choosing a higher return on their attention. They are investing their energy in observation rather than performance, in learning rather than impressing, in understanding rather than reacting. And that is why silence often creates a form of power that words alone can never achieve. Because while others are busy trying to be noticed, the silent observer is busy seeing everything. The ancient Stoics lived in a world of crowded markets, political rivalries, and public debates. But compared to today, their world was quiet. Our world is different. Today we carry a device in our pockets that competes for our attention every minute of the day. The moment we wake up, we are surrounded by noise, notifications, messages, news headlines, opinions, arguments, endless streams of people telling us what to think, what to feel, and what to care about. Never in human history have so many people had so many opportunities to speak, and yet never has genuine wisdom seemed so rare. The modern world rewards visibility. It rewards instant reactions. It rewards outrage, controversy, and constant self-expression. Algorithms do not care whether your thoughts are wise. They care whether your thoughts generate attention. As a result, many people feel pressured to comment on everything, to react immediately, to share every opinion, to broadcast every emotion. Silence has become suspicious. If you don't respond instantly, people wonder what's wrong. If you keep your thoughts private, people assume you have nothing to say. If you choose observation over participation, some mistake it for weakness. But the Stoics would likely see the situation differently. They would ask a simple question: how much of this noise is actually necessary? How much of your attention is being spent on things that add no value to your life? How much mental energy is being consumed by arguments you'll never win, opinions you'll never change, and distractions you'll never remember? The truth is that modern technology has amplified one of humanity's oldest weaknesses: the desire to be seen, the desire to be validated, the desire to be heard. There is nothing inherently wrong with these desires, but when they control you, they become chains. Many people now measure their worth through likes, comments, views, and approval from strangers. Their emotional state depends on reactions they cannot control. Their peace depends on the opinions of people they may never meet. The Stoics warned against this long before social media existed. They understood that the more your happiness depends on external validation, the less freedom you possess. This is why silence is more valuable today than ever before. Not because you should withdraw from the world, not because you should never share your ideas, but because you should choose your words instead of letting the world choose them for you. In an age where everyone is fighting to be heard, the rarest skill is knowing when not to speak. In an age of constant distraction, the rarest power is sustained attention. And in an age obsessed with visibility, the most dangerous form of strength may be the ability to remain grounded, composed, and silent. Because those who cannot control their need for expression become controlled by it. But those who master silence reclaim something most people have lost: ownership of their own mind. Understanding the power of silence is one thing. Living it is another. The Stoics were not interested in ideas that sounded impressive. They cared about practices that transformed character. So the question becomes, How do you develop the kind of silence that creates inner strength, self-control, and hidden power? It begins with a simple shift. Stop treating silence as an absence. Start treating it as a skill. Like any skill, it improves with practice. The first exercise is to create a pause before speaking. Not a long pause, just a few seconds. When someone asks a question, resist the urge to answer immediately. When someone provokes you, resist the urge to react instantly. When emotions begin to rise, give yourself a moment of stillness. That small gap may seem insignificant, but it is often the difference between wisdom and regret. The second practice is learning to observe without feeling obligated to contribute. Walk into a conversation and challenge yourself to listen more than you speak. Notice how often people reveal themselves when given the space to do so. Notice how much information becomes available when your mind is focused on understanding rather than responding. You may be surprised by how much you've been missing. The third practice is to keep your goals private until they become reality. This does not mean hiding from the world. It means directing your energy toward execution instead of announcement. Too many people seek the satisfaction of talking about success before they have achieved it. The Stoic approach is different. Work quietly, improve quietly, build quietly. Let your results do the talking. The fourth practice is spending time alone with your thoughts. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your mind. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. That is precisely why it matters, because every moment you spend in deliberate silence strengthens your ability to remain calm when life becomes noisy. And finally, learn to become comfortable with being misunderstood. This may be the hardest lesson of all. Many people speak too much because they feel compelled to explain themselves, to justify their choices, to defend their decisions, to make everyone understand. But the Stoics knew something liberating. You do not need universal approval to live a meaningful life. Not everyone will understand your path. Not everyone needs an explanation. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Sometimes the most powerful statement is quiet confidence. And sometimes the greatest display of strength is continuing forward without feeling the need to convince anyone. Because hidden power is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself. It is the ability to remain calm when others are reactive, focused when others are distracted, disciplined when others are impulsive, and silent when silence serves you better than words. That is the practice, and over time changes everything. So let's return to the question we began with. Why do the smartest people stay silent? Not because they have nothing to say, not because they lack confidence, and certainly not because they are weak. They stay silent because they understand something that most people spend their entire lives learning. Power is not measured by how much you speak. It is measured by how much control you have over yourself. The world encourages constant expression. It tells you to react immediately, to share every thought, to defend every opinion, to announce every ambition. But the Stoics chose a different path. They understood that every unnecessary reaction weakens your control. Every impulsive word gives away a piece of your power, and every moment of deliberate silence strengthens it. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet his greatest battle was not against foreign enemies. It was against his own impulses. Machiavelli studied power and discovered that those who reveal the least are often the hardest to defeat. And the wisest observers throughout history understood a timeless truth. The person who masters silence often masters themselves. In a world addicted to noise, silence has become a rare form of strength. In a world obsessed with attention, restraint has become a hidden advantage. And in a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the person who listens gains access to what everyone else misses. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause. The next time you feel the need to prove yourself, pause. The next time silence enters a conversation, resist the urge to fill it. You may discover that silence is not empty at all. You may discover that it contains clarity, discipline, and power. And most importantly, you may discover that the strongest person in the room is not always the one speaking. It is often the one who has learned when not to. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below and tell us. Do you think silence is a sign of strength or a sign of weakness in today's world? Your answer might reveal more than you think, and if you're interested in more lessons on Stoicism, human nature, and the hidden psychology of power, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Until next time, remember, the fool speaks to be noticed. The wise remain silent until their words carry weight. Before you go, take a moment to reflect on today's lesson. How many of your problems have been caused by speaking too soon, reacting too quickly, or revealing too much? And how different would your life be if you mastered the power of strategic silence? If this video gave you a new perspective, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more insights on Stoicism, human nature, self-mastery, and the hidden psychology of power. And here's my question for you. What is one situation in your life right now where staying silent would make you stronger? Share your answer in the comments below. I read every comment, and some of the best insights come from this community. If you know someone who talks too much, reacts too quickly, or struggles to control their emotions, send them this video. It might be exactly what they need to hear. Subscribe and remember, your words reveal your mind. Your silence reveals your strength.